What's up, everybody? Matt Maran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of great news to go over here this week, but before I get into the news, I first want to mention I'll be doing my usual weekly live stream on Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time, so join if you can. It's always a great time hanging out and talking cars with all of you, but it will be on Saturday. Usually it's Sunday, but just make a note that it will be Saturday this week. Anyway, moving on here to the news this week. So the awesome best news story here of the week is that the BMW M Division has confirmed the awesome news this week that the M5 Touring is coming to both the United States and Canada here for this new version coming in the 2025 model year here at the end of 2024. So it's the first time the North American market has gotten an M5 Touring ever, and it's a really big deal. We've always had to look longingly from afar at all the awesome ones that have been available over the generations of the 5 Series here, and so to finally get it here in the States is going to be really exciting. And beyond its existence here, M confirmed also that it'll be getting an M hybrid drivetrain they say is closely related to the one in the GTP race car that they run. They're completing final testing over the next few months here for the M5 and the M5 Touring, and production is going to be beginning in the fourth quarter of this year, they say. So coming fairly soon, and so just fantastic news. And so now it's the ball is in Mercedes and Audi's court to bring their hot versions of their newest stuff here to the States. We already have the RS6 Avant, but I think a new generation will hopefully be coming here down the road. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, fantastic news there. Toyota this week has teased the new 4Runner for the second time, the 2025 4Runner here. After last week's teaser showed us the badge there in the lower rear bumper, this week we get to see the rolled down rear window make a return, but we also get to see the rest of the back end, including the taillights, which look very evolutionary. We also can see the huge 14-inch Toyota screen there on the inside that we've seen in the Tacoma, Tundra, and others. And from what we can see of the dash and the seats, it looks like those parts also could carry over from the Tacoma, since they appear to be pretty much the same. And this falls in line with what we were expecting. For now, though, Toyota just says a window to bigger worlds and adventures is just around the corner. They also confirmed the reveal will be happening on April 9th, and I can now reveal that I will be at the debut, and I will be filming an in-person tour of the 4Runner, and I will have that ready to go live here whenever the reveal drops on the 9th. So stay tuned for that. I'm excited to bring you guys some coverage on the 4Runner in person. So yeah, just stay tuned for that. For some unofficial Toyota news here, though, drive.com.au is reporting that the Lexus LBX Morizo RR concept that we saw at the Tokyo Auto Salon back in January could actually come to production, complete with its GR Corolla powertrain. So since we didn't get the regular LBX here in the States, you know, this is almost certainly going to be something that the other parts of the world get, but won't come to North America here, sadly. But for those in the rest of the world that do get it, the CEO of Lexus Australia told drive.com.au that a production version is highly likely but not confirmed. And also, the Drive says that a Toyota chairman, Akio Toyoda, actually uses the concept as his own personal car, which is also really awesome that a guy who's insanely rich, who has a whole fleet of awesome cars, I'm sure, to drive. And he's rocking a little Lexus thing with a GR Corolla powertrain in it. It just kind of speaks to the kind of person that is, which I really admire, to be totally honest. And so anyway, you know, maybe someday this powertrain will come. You know, if the idea of a sportier Lexus, you know, with this powertrain is a possibility, then maybe for like a next generation UX, if we get something like that at some point, maybe that could have the GR Corolla powertrain. I'd take the GR Corolla powertrain in just about anything that doesn't already have over 300 horsepower from Lexus. But yeah, so anyway, very cool to hear that for those of you elsewhere in the world. And who knows, maybe by some tiny little chance we'll actually get the LBX here as well. Automotive News is reporting that Nissan could be working on a 1-ton pickup truck that would be jointly developed with Mitsubishi and would come in both plug-in hybrid and electric versions. They say the plug-in hybrid would come first for, you know, obvious reasons, since that is the hot thing right now, and could be an evolution of the powertrain that's used in the Outlander plug-in hybrid, potentially. They also say this powertrain could also be used in another vehicle for both Nissan and Mitsubishi, and there was also a quote from Mitsubishi CEO saying that they're going to start getting more products from their alliance partners soon. So I think that means finally the Mitsubishi lineup is going to be filled out a little bit here and get some new stuff outside of the Outlander. But Anyway, so this one could be one of the new vehicles, for Nissan at least, is coming in their tidal wave of 30 new vehicles they just announced last week that are coming by 2027. As far as the truck, it would be built in Mexico so that it could be sold in North America and Canada and all that. And Mitsubishi would get a version of this truck as well, which means that Mitsubishi's finally would be getting back to selling trucks here in the States, which is something they haven't done for quite a while now. And between 2027 and 2031, an electric version of this truck, like I said, would be coming as well for both companies, but there's no other info on these trucks or what they would be like. Obviously, if we're talking 1-ton trucks, then this is going to be something that's going to be, larger than a Frontier, although there's talks of something smaller than a Frontier as well. So I'm hoping that is also maybe in the cards, but more trucks the better for Nissan, especially with the Titan, leaving the lineup. It'd be great to see something new come in here. So anyway, but interesting to hear that. In other future Nissan news here, though, Autoblog spoke with Nissan's Senior Vice President for Global Design, and one of the things that we could probably tell from that shadowy image that we saw last week and the announcement that they posted last week is that Nissan won't stick to one design language anymore, and that they'll all have unique looks, something that most other car companies don't do anymore. And so this designer confirmed to Autoblog that there is no longer a face of Nissan, and explained why it doesn't make sense to have the same design language for a Z and a Frontier, for example, which, it makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I haven't been super excited with some of these companies just plastering the same front end on everything. And he was saying in the interview, it's kind of, can be awkward with some vehicles not really fitting it quite as well as others and things like that. And, so, I mean, I totally can agree with him about this. Doesn't make sense to have a corporate face when you have such a diverse lineup. And so he also rightly pointed out about how, like with a corporate face, only the first vehicle in that redo and that makeover really is fresh looking. And everything after that, while it still is new for that vehicle, it still is just a stale look because you've seen that look before. And again, makes a lot of sense. And he made some great points here. And so he also says that when he started at Nissan in the early 90s, he fell in love with the diversity of their designs and said that since that time they haven't leveraged that enough. And so he said he wants more charming cars like the retro vehicles that they used to do, and stuff like the Cube. And at least it seems like the coming Micra, which we probably won't get here, at least in the United States. We'll have to see. But that's getting back to those round headlamps and maybe getting to a more charming design again, and hopefully going towards that direction. And so, I mean, it sounds like Nissan's on a great path with all this stuff, having unique looks for everything, having a solid new lineup here coming really quickly. We just saw the new Kicks in the past week or so here, and there's talks I was talking about last week about a new Xterra coming. All good stuff here. I think I've really, you would ask me even a month ago, what do you think about Nissan? I'd be like, I don't know. But now, after all this new stuff we've seen in the past few weeks here, I'm actually really optimistic about Nissan's future, and I really hope that, all this stuff really pays off well for them. But anyway, cool to hear that. Speaking of corporate faces, though, Buick is in the midst of their own restyling here, where they're doing the exact thing that Nissan is trying to ditch, with Buick rolling out this new front end that's been, put on everything in their little lineup so far. And so this week we get the full reveal of the 2024 Envision, complete with the same front end from the Encore and Envista. The back end continues on unchanged, though, from the pre-refresh, but there is the new badging and new wheels as well. And I think it looks good, though. Again, it's just not super distinctive with the other vehicles, but I think it is, still a nice looking face. But the best changes are on the inside, with a big 30-inch display coming standard that includes both gauges and infotainment, and the whole dashboard has been redesigned around it as well. And thankfully, there are still physical buttons for the main climate control functions too, which is great. And the center console also has more storage now, thanks to GM following Hyundai and moving the gear shifter back onto the column, which is a trend I'm very happy to see is growing. There's this snazzy wine-colored interior now you can get, and the seat design is new as well for more comfort. There's a new steering wheel that even gets a flat bottom on the ST trim, and there's better materials and ambient lighting now as well. Mechanically, it's all carryover, with a 228 horsepower turbo 4-cylinder and a 9-speed auto being the only setup. The only difference is that all Envisions are all-wheel drive now, and the cheaper front-wheel drive versions have been dropped, which seems like a mistake for the sunny states that don't need that all-wheel drive. And I mean, this is just going to raise the pricing, and that's something no one wants to see higher prices either. So seems like an unfortunate decision there. Another unfortunate decision is that although they teased last year that Super Cruise is going to be available on the Envision, that's no longer the case, at least for now, with no Super Cruise for 2024, they say. But hopefully it does come for 2025. But anyway, way, so pricing is going to be starting at $37,295 with the top Avenir trim going up to $48,395, and they'll begin arriving at dealerships this summer. And for the last news story here this week, the CEO of Polestar revealed to Autocar recently that we will not replace the Polestar 2 with a Polestar 2. It will be a Polestar 7. And so based on that timeline, that means that it'll be after the 3, 4, and 5, which are also supposed to debut this year, and after the 6, which is a convertible that's debuting in 2026 supposedly, putting a replacement around 2027 or so. He said, as much as we might build a very similar car, because it has a different number, we won't have this natural trap where we're boxed into that concept of what the car had been. At some point you get into a strange situation when you're in double-digit generations and it gets really questionable. But the question that begs to be asked is, how long can you keep this up for? Because, you're already on 7, it's by this point you're going to be into the 10s and teens by the time you're, into the 2030s. How many people want a Polestar 14 or a Polestar 26? Obviously that's a little ways off, but I don't know if this is the best future-proof plan, for the long term. But anyway, that's what they're doing. I can see the rationale here. It's just, again, like, how far down this road do you go, So anyway, we'll see how long they continue that on before the numbers start getting a little silly, but interesting to hear that. And lastly, I want to thank all of you that are members of the Maran Motoring Club. So we didn't have any new members that were able to join this past week, but thanks to Kyle's gifting of his memberships during the live stream here this past week, we did have 5 people that were able to rejoin, become members once again. So huge thanks, Kyle, for your generosity every single week there with allowing people to continue to stay members there. And for anyone else that would like to join and become a member as well and get all those perks like the priority answering in the live stream and all the other great perks, there's always join buttons here on the video page, on the channel page, and also a link in the description. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts and all this stuff in the comments below. Please leave a like and subscribe to keep these videos coming, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.